Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to have you here today. I'm here with my wonderful friend. I haven't known her that long. I want to say one of my best friends in the world, Laurie Seymour. Hello.
What do you mean? I'm not?
No, she's outraged. But it feels that way. I feel like one of my best friends. So good to have you here today, Laurie.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you, Daniel. I really am.
Awesome. Now, before we get too far, first of all, have some fun and subscribe, all right? Why is it fun? Because you get to be with someone fun like me. Aren't I fun? I know I'm fun to the right people. The rest of you can go away. Anyway, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. We want to hear your feedback. Let me tell you about Laurie. Laurie Seymour is the Innovation Alchemist, is a 2 times #1 best-selling author, host of the Wisdom Talk radio podcast, executive coach, international speaker and trainer, and founder CEO of the Baca Institute. Over 20 years ago, Laurie was honored to receive the stewardship of a special esoteric technology that accelerates the process of innovation and creation in individuals and groups. Her work is particularly valuable for conscious entrepreneurs, thought leaders, visionaries, company founders, because the work accelerates the time from idea to implementation. We all want more of that, and revenue. And the revenue, of course.
And more of that.
Yeah. And while also opening the creator to new levels of confidence, peace, and satisfaction. I love it. So this is so awesome. I love your energy. I had been on your show, and I just, you just ignite my energy. And I know that that's your gift, like one of your many gifts. Like you ignite people's like deep gifts and energies. Are just like, yes, like come out to play and you evoke that, don't you? Yeah.
I do. It come out to play and come out with who you really are, because there isn't anybody else like you in the world.
Right. So definitely check out her show too. It's really awesome. And where do they find that again? Let's just Wisdom Talk Radio.
Wisdom Talk Radio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Check that out. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it right away. All right. Okay. Well, let's get into the topic for today. So what the heck's the deal with like I always tell people, like, hey, your infinite intelligence and power, are you acting like it, right? So it's like I love that you talk about creative intelligence. You come up with this creative innovator thing that we're going to talk about today. What got you going down this pathway? What got you to being so amazing with these things you share with the creative innovator and activating people's creative intelligence? First of all, what is creative intelligence, and what brought you to into this whole realm of talking about it and sharing it?
Woo! Wow.
Big question.
Really, it's been decades in one way or another that I have been involved in this. And of course, like everybody's journey, that's morphed over the years and it's evolved over the years. I started out as a psychotherapist, because that was the way that I could see at that time to be able to dive deeply into who we are, what we're really about, and what our potential is. And that was the most significantly exciting thing for me in the world. What was possible? And it was also a great way to learn more about myself. So moving from that being a psychotherapist into at some point, but still quite a long time ago, encountering somebody that worked with energy in a particular way that opened me up in boy, to parts of myself that no matter all of the work that I had done, had not touched. And I had trained in humanistic psychology. I'd been teaching in transpersonal psychology. I had been a trainer for a process called guided imagery and music. I had been very engaged in the human potential movement and what was available. And this took me beyond all of that. And it took me into a place of being able to receive energy in a brand new way and to start to work with it. And so over the years from that, um, what do I want to say? I want to say that I've gotten to focus more and more in a more and more refined way to helping people not only recognize their gifts and talents, but to be able to bring out for those visionaries, for those founders, for those creative people, but for those conscious entrepreneur people who have a great idea. And yet they get stuck, they get stopped, they fall into self-doubt. They don't know which way to go when it comes to taking the energy of that inspiration and bringing it all the way through into a real life in the world project. So it's like taking your dream and making it come alive. And for me, um, it's because of all of the work that I have been doing with people over the years of connecting with their own inner guidance system. And then, well, so we do that in life. If we can do that consistently, if we rely on that, if we learn to rely on it, if we learn to connect with it, then we get to, take the next step of bringing those great ideas into reality.
Right,
So I don't know
right.
if I answered all of your questions because you had a couple layered pieces in
Lots
there.
of it. I tend to ask 10 questions at once. Sometimes I'm so excited. I try to slow them down. I think I'm getting better. So
Okay.
it's yeah. I mean, I see how you got into doing this work. In a sense, my guess is you are probably somebody that's always been very curious person. I'm curious about that, right? You're that type of person. As you strike
I
me.
am. I am. And I've gotten more curious the older I've gotten. Not less. I see that there's more I don't know. And that okay, you asked about creative intelligence and I didn't answer that.
Mhm.
For me, creative intelligence has to do with that field of potentiality that we are part of, and we are. So what quantum physics has taught us is that the way that the universe is, well, everything is energy, and that the energy is there in waves. And so I am a physical manifestation of that energy. So things work like that within me as well. So as I have an idea, and it's like if you can think of it as ideas being sprinkled down, the energies are just there. It's you pick up on something if you're sensitive, you maybe not, but you might pick up on lots of ideas and not know how to have the discernment of what's the right idea for you. If you're a sensitive sort, like I know you are, Daniel, you might pick up lots of ideas, but then to go the next step and to be able to say, well, what's mine? What's mine to do in the world? And what's the right timing for that? Not just having a great idea, but you don't want to miss your timing.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit on it or move so quickly that you've kind of lost yourself in the process. And our creative intelligence is the way in which our own inner guidance system, our own inner compass connects with that great field of potentiality, which is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, yeah, I've kind of vacillated on the ideas around like when an idea comes in, because there's probably a lot of people listening get lots of ideas. I always say ideas, I mean, they're kind of like like a million per penny. I mean, like in other words, for people that have a lot of ideas, especially, right? I
Right.
mean, man, I've had so many $1 million ideas. It doesn't,
And then somebody else has made them instead.
Exactly.
Somebody, I mean, you get mad.
Exactly. I mean, and the truth is, it's easy to have an idea and get excited about it, but but what's right for you? I mean, what's
Mm-hmm.
right is true for you, and I feel that's part of your gift is probably helping people to discover, what their truth is, who they are,
Mm-hmm.
what is the right idea at the right time for them, right? All those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Because if we learn how to connect with our own inner compass, and we really learn how to do that, and when we, not just as a great idea, not just for a weekend, but if we learn how to that it's real, that it's not just like an idea or a metaphor, but it's real, and that we can absolutely learn to rely on it, so that it's not just if we're like, well, when I get stuck, then I'll tune in or I'll check in. And then you start running with the default, which is usually for most of us, it's logic. It's with our head. Okay, I've got this great idea now. I know I've been taught, here are the things to do. Oh, I'll go do this next class, and this person is going to tell me what the steps are to take my idea into action. If we go beyond that, if we go beyond our default, which is that logic, it's not to throw it out, it's to open up this whole other possibility so that you connect with that field of potentiality. And you have what I like to refer to as your refined gut instincts. So it's even beyond intuition. Intuition is sometimes on, sometimes off, but it's learning how to develop that connection, that inner connection, that inner guidance system in such a way that you really can rely on it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting with intuition, isn't it? I mean, there's probably books out there that say here's 1,000 different types of intuition, right? I mean, I'm just guessing. I know people talk about different types of intuition, and there's this type, that type, all these different types, and yeah, it's so funny you said that gut intuition or that deeper gut intuition or whatever it is, but it's like, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like a lot of people, yeah, intuition is a big subject. We could talk the whole show just about that, right? Well, I have this
Sure.
intuition to go get an ice cream or whatever. I mean, is that your intuition? Is that just like hey, oh, I'd love to, that'd be awesome or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what, rather, like just like exploring these things, I get curious. I'm like, what is really intuition? Even though I teach intuition, like,
Exactly. I was going to say, you're a great teacher of it. So
yeah, so I'm like, well, what's, there's that kind of intuition, the sense of the angels singing. Like I felt like an angel. I got signs. I see the numbers all over the place. Or, I got a fluttering in my heart. I feel fire in my soul about that. Or, you got all these different things, but it's like I think what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, anyway, is it's often that just subtle, deeper, subtle, like just it can show up in all different ways, but often it's a subtle, just knowing, like deep inside. It's just like, oh yeah, that's right, like.
well, and learning how to discern. Yeah, I mean, it is often so subtle, and we can look for all the signs, but still we have to come home to ourselves and pay attention to what I talk about as the feeling body, and learn what, okay, here's a kind of a wild way to put it. Learn how truth feels in your body. And I don't mean truth out there, but the truth of, it's like, what does the universe want of me? What are the energies asking of me now? What do the energies want to show me for the next right step? And learning how to be connected with that. I mean, at base, that is what my work is about activating those systems within people to be able to do that.
So you're actually, creative intelligence sounds like it's a little bit more than what people normally associate with as, just using your imagination or your
Yeah, far more.
It's far more than that. I feel like I'm just beginning to get an understanding of that, though. So, but tell us more about what this creative intelligence really is. Then tell us more about that. Yeah.
Well, think about that it's the creative intelligence of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just an aspect of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
although I could say it is, because we're the microcosm of the universe.
Right.
So if the universe contains all there is, it is that great field of potential. When we recognize ourselves as part of that field, in a way we are that field, then we start to have the ability to think differently, to create differently, to tap into what is available in the universe differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when things start to show up like magic, or like a synchronicity, or, oh, well, that was an accident, but wasn't that a happy accident? It's that you're really making quantum leaps.
Mm-hmm.
And we as humans have the ability to make quantum leaps when we step out of the old linear way of thinking that we've been indoctrinated into, and that we've been taught through our whole lives, and if through our whole school life. This is how the world works. And I'm saying the world really works in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's really, to me, like it's really is getting into the undifferentiated quantum field that we're a part of, right? It's
It
just
is.
like,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's totally, I mean, it's totally creative. I mean, it's just total, like almost
Yeah. When
totally,
you're tuning into someone to do an energy reading, really, isn't that what you're doing, Daniel?
yeah,
Tuning into that field?
tuning in. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I always tell people there's like you probably experienced too, because I know you, right? So it's like it's so vast. There's so much going. It's just the opposite of what people say that you haven't developed it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't know, I don't have much going on in there. I don't know if there's much I could share. Or what. It's like no, it's like okay, you want to share a few lifetimes? We could talk about a few things. Like they don't have to tell
Mm-hmm.
me anything about themselves because I'm in the quantum field where I can see every facet, every aspect of what's going on
Mm-hmm.
with somebody.
Right.
Even things I hadn't discovered yet, but I would discover them as I continue to tune in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, oh, now I'm seeing this now, right? Because you got the portal into all of it, right? So I'm like,
Yeah. So
wow.
you and I have to be at our own cutting edge, at our own edge, always evolving into what is next, always moving into what is next. It's not like this is a one and done kind of thing. It's a journey, but and it's oh boy, I don't know when it ever gets done. When we stop discovering, when we stop opening to the next frequency, the next higher up frequency.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, right. It is a mystery, isn't it? That's so called. We're not meant to so-called know it, right? So that is the fun part.
We get to be in it, we get to live it, and then there's a new piece. When do you know that feeling when you get to, oh, at least I'll talk about it for me, when I get to the place where I feel like I'm undergoing so much change, and all I want to do is sit down and cry. And
Yeah.
not because I'm sad, not because there's any emotion really. It's, I don't know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I've taken a leap, I've taken a quantum leap, and I haven't yet had a chance to feel out what that is, to integrate it, to see what it is, to see who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly, that's actually what I was experiencing earlier today, is I woke up in that state of kind of holy, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I had all these, things that I was supposed to do today.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do them, but I had to go about it in such a different way, mostly from that place of, I don't know. I don't know who I am. And I don't know how am I to do this? And asking all of those questions inside to see how I was to proceed.
Yeah, that's so awesome that you bring that up. I mean, that is one of those things. It's like, yeah, the linear mind can't figure it out when like,
Mhm.
oh, I can manage this. I can manage so much. If life gets chaotic, or there's more and more things to play with,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I have no clue. It doesn't look possible to get all these things accomplished, or if
Mhm.
I don't, then something bad's gonna happen, and all this stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
I mean, I had slightly a similar experience today, just feeling like there's so many things going on. Hiring a new person, then you got to get this presentation done. Then you got to, you got your client. A wonderful client of mine sent me all this information over the weekend, and then this is where loafing pays off, or listening to the creative intelligence pays off. I told her I'll get to it sometime today, but I still haven't got to her. This afternoon she messaged me, says, "Oh, you're gonna forget everything I sent you. So now look at this instead."
Wow, that's it. That
Yeah,
is it. I love that.
yeah, it's a perfect example of like when you really. If I was freaked out, I'd be like, "Oh, this is so important, man. She's creating marketing right now, and it's big money, it's big everything. Oh my god, I gotta get on it."
Mhm.
When you're really connected, you're just listening to what, okay, next. You might
Mhm.
structure things. We still use structures and stuff, but you're still just constantly listening. And the more you listen, the more everything works so well. I mean, but
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, there are times when, just like you said, I mean, it could just be energy is moving and we get into these emotional states. And when we're super connected, maybe we are more in a place where we can just observe it, right? Just be like, oh,
Mhm.
wow, this is interesting. This is coming up. And if you're not as awake in the moment, you might be falling into that pit first temporarily, right? So I
Uh-huh.
think most people
Uh-huh.
are pretty, fairly awake that listen to the show, but I wanted to deepen that. But it's all part of our process. It's like really loving ourselves every step along the way, and embracing
Mm.
all of that's all part of this
Yeah.
accessing the creative intelligence, no doubt about it, right?
Because then we're in the flow. We step into the flow. And that's the example you just gave was so incredible because you were just, okay, what's next? And then what's next? And then what's next? And that's being in the flow. And we have structures, yes. We're not throwing them out. But instead of being the the servant to the structure is the servant to us.
Yeah, well put, Laurie. I like that. That's like a writer downer. I might steal that one. Usually we say the soul comes first in the mind. It's the same thing basically, but I hadn't
Mhm.
thought of it in that way, putting those words in those ways. So
Mhm.
I love that orientation. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Flows first, baby, then structure. I
Mhm. Exactly.
like that. I like that. So because it's like, and then we have like all the shifts, like there's a lot of creative intelligence wanting to come through and innovate in the world, right? I mean, that's how I kind of see it. Like
Mhm.
the sense of darkness, the sense of the things are falling apart, and oh my god, there's so much racism, there's so much
Mhm.
destruction of the planet, there's so much this or that. At the same time, people are like, wow, oh my God, like everything's getting easier, everything's
Mhm.
happening faster. And like
Mhm.
pretty soon, we won't have to even get out of bed. Everything will be taken care of for us. So, like, you also have that sense of polarity.
Well, but, but there is so much stuff going on in the world. I mean, yes, and that's why the universe is also giving us such great ideas.
Right.
So innovation, we even expand on that, and collaboration is another big one.
Mhm.
That when we come together with others, this is my new program that's coming out in a couple of months, which is around really quantum collaboration and what happens when we come together with others with our great idea and their great idea, and we get to perhaps answer a need in the world that both of us are feeling something about, but we didn't even know what could happen until we came together.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I think that's one of the great things that you share around this creative innovation is everybody talks about working together. And it's I've led these retreats where we're connecting deeply in the energy and everything, and
Mhm.
you literally see it. We're in one field. You know, we're in one
Mhm.
field together here on the planet,
Mhm.
as humanity. We're not separate beings. Not real in a way we are, in a way we really aren't at all.
Exactly.
And why you feel so bad about yourself and feel so limited is when you think you are separate. Not
Yeah.
only separation energy within yourself, but you're separate from the whole of humanity. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a separate being. I'm just trying to do my thing, and I got to figure my thing out to get what I need and what I want, what other people need and want, and we've got
Mhm.
to make it happen because we're all separate. But literally, unity, oneness, consciousness that I know you talk about too. That literally where this is where the creative intelligence lives. Is
Exactly.
literally it's
Yes.
there. It's there. It's a real thing. It's like not just a concept. It's real. I
Mhm.
mean, I'd love for you to talk to us more about your experiences with that.
Well, I'm not sure what I would add. You just said so much that's so beautiful about it, Daniel. Because I am someone that has felt separate a lot in my life. And I will say that a lot of the people that come to me at one level or another feel that kind of separation. And when we feel separate in that way, we don't feel loved and we don't feel lovable. And maybe at heart, we don't even feel like we can love because of that separation. But when we do connect, and this is what changed for me so long ago, was the experience of when I was, well, I'll just say this, when I was initiated in this particular way, I got to experience this lack of separation, this connection. I'll put it that way. I don't like to put it in the negative. I felt this connection within myself that I had never felt for all of the years of training and education and workshops and books and on and on. I hadn't ever experienced. And I felt it in such a way in my body that I couldn't deny it. I couldn't say, oh, well, that's just that. I couldn't diminish it. And so it really ended up being like this touchstone within me that never went away. What did go away was the self doubt. And it's that doubt of, well, I'm just here myself. And if we look around the world, what we see is so much separation kind of mirrored back to us. Racism at heart is separation. Judgment at heart is separation, whether we're judging ourselves or whether we're judging someone else. So, in all of my work, that's a really big piece of that is coming to embody that sense of connection. Because once I feel connected with myself, that's the one and the many, and that I can't help but feel connected with the whole because I'm part of this great field, and it's something I experience in my body.
Mhm. Oh yeah, wow. So I mean, so when people, that's awesome. So it's so beautiful, and so I mean, within this, so ideas. Let's get back to the idea thing a little bit here for a second. So
Okay.
ideas come in. I know when when I was first starting as an entrepreneur, I get ideas constantly. Oh, there's another hot one. Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah. And
Oh my
sometimes it's
goodness.
because it's the next shiny object.
Yeah, just
Oh, I
getting
read this
started.
email. Yeah, that's what I need to do.
Right. You're excited. Okay, I can create stuff. I can offer stuff to people, and we could just be doing all these things and all. But one of the things is like, yeah, so much of it doesn't, go too far or stalls out, doesn't do anything,
Mhm.
um, yeah, or crashes and burns. But this is kind of part of the, some of it just is part of the natural cycles, isn't it? Because you talk about these natural cycles of destruction and creation. And how do we navigate those cycles within the creative process and know what's really true for us? Like sometimes
Mhm.
I know the answer, but I want you to talk about it.
I know you know the answer.
Tell us
And you know
more
what?
about.
And I don't know any other answer except than
Mm.
connecting with oneself.
Yeah.
Connecting with that presence within, with that light within. with that universal field within, whatever we want to call it, if I'm not connected, I don't know which way to go. And so I don't know whether this great idea that I've had, well, it's time to let it go. Or it's got to have a different set of parameters to it. It's got to change because yes, it came in this form and we can get attached to that.
Yeah.
And we have to go beyond attachment. We have to be willing to say, okay, well, if I'm staying connected with myself, if I'm staying connected with my own inner guidance, I'm having the sensing that I need to bring someone in who I never thought would ever be part of this. And so it's the natural cycle of how life works, really, how life works, how it continues to evolve. And we each have our own way of being with that. That's where I created the Creative Innovator Style quiz, because each of us has our own unique way of best creating, of how we create in the world, create our ideas, create our relationships. It doesn't really matter. And so my quiz breaks it down into, one of 4 types. And yet that's a starting place. It's a starting place to learn how to see what's true for you, see what your style actually is, your most natural style. Because so many of us have been trained to do it one way, to do things one way, that really fight against what our natural way is. So we don't know what our superpower is. And we don't know what we need to learn, what we might have to bring in to balance. Like the person that gets tons of ideas, they really need to learn discernment and how discernment operates in the body in order to see, well, is this idea for me? Is it for somebody else? It's just an idea. I can let it go.
Right. Exactly. I mean, there's so many ideas I've had that, like other people, that I know if it was the right idea for me, sure, you could make a lot of money with it, but it's, it might be fun for a little while to try to mess around with it, but it's not the thing that's taking us into our deepest space of creation for us, through our soul. So that's a thing. So I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you this question for fun. So
Okay.
I mean, are you really actually saying we have a divine blueprint, or is that a bunch of BS? Like, 'cause let me just back that question up for one
Okay.
second. Like when you said, what did you say? So, like, oh, when a vision comes in, like, well, yeah, because isn't this what we hear, Laura? And we've probably both done this to ourselves many times. But like a big idea comes in, oh my God, it's a big the notes or whatever taken, everything, and we're like, oh, that's it. Put it in the can, freeze it. That's gotta be it. And you're like, already, that's my whole year-long program I'm launching. That's it. That's already done. That's it. Don't even talk to me anymore. And we're just convinced. But truth be known, if we stay open, you may get course corrects. And I always tell people, like, again, I'll just share my own take on it, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. It's like, I mean, yeah, but it's like you're listening to an orchestra play and you heard the first opening and you just assume we're done. Like, I'm not listening still. You got to keep listening. You don't know what the second act and the third act is, the fourth act, which may change what you thought it was. Maybe it comes in a form of variety of what your listening is ready for, in a sense, or it can hear.
No, that's it. That's
Right.
it.
And then when you open more, it may want to evolve, it may want to shift and change significantly. And I can't overemphasize, I think this is where people I've had on the show, I always mention James Twyman on this. He says people are just too impatient. You gotta slow down, listen. That's where the bigger things, the bigger impact can happen. It's when you slow down, stop rushing everything ahead, let it come in, and then follow, like you say, inspiration to action, right? Like just let it unfold from there.
Yeah. And so you asked about divine blueprint, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that happens in different ways. We we can talk about that in terms of purpose. People talking about, well, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And we can get an idea about that, or we can get, like you said, a download about that. It's simply that we continue to evolve, because if we recognize that the universe is limitless and we are here in physical, so we are limited, and we keep, as if we keep moving, if we keep evolving, and sometimes making quantum leaps, we actually will move into a new frequency, and then another new frequency. And as we move into a new frequency, more gets revealed. The picture gets fleshed out differently, maybe it gets changed altogether. We usually can't see all the way down the road. We can see a piece. So part of my work is through the process of initiation, is about activating that divine blueprint, activating that so that we get to receive what we need next. And maybe even a few steps down the road. But, sometimes I'm aware that if I got too much, if I saw too far down the road, I'd probably get scared out of my bejesus. I wouldn't know how to move. But getting a piece of it, part of it, okay. And then I can ask the questions, who needs to be involved? What's the next step? Who do I need to bring in? Is there something I'm needing to, some piece that I don't know yet, or that I need to get training in? All of those may be true. And I get to bring through that information. And I also then, as that all unfolds, I get to get very specific information. Here are your brand colors. Here's your logo. Here is the second chapter of your book. All those things start to come through the more that more deeply you are connected with that divine blueprint.
Right. So does that mean we're just meant for something and we just need to be about it? We're going to suffer otherwise? I think it was smacked around.
Well, what do you think?
I'm just asking, so I think people feel, I think that's where this idea of almost a resentment sometimes for our light leaders, sometimes, right? They're like, what? Just give me the answers. Come on, intuition, just give it all to me. Just do it, just bang,
Do it
bang.
for me.
Let me know. And first of all, Yoda, after all, you made me come down here. I didn't want to come down. There's a perception, for some of the people, spiritual people, not everybody, but some of the people listening. So people resist. They're like, let me fight as much as I can. Is that part of their divine blueprint? I mean, we say everything is whole, right? So these are the deep questions I like to ask. What is a divine blueprint, really? I mean, I'm curious what your take is on it.
I'm not going to answer that. Because our work is to be present enough to have that be revealed to us. I can activate that. And I might have all sorts of information that comes to me, but that doesn't mean I'm going to share it, because it's not mine to share. What I'm really about is about teaching people how to do that for themselves, not about me doing it for them.
That's great. Yeah. Of course, absolutely. Well, it's good you can help them though with that, right? I mean,
I do.
Sometimes we need some more perspectives in the collab, right? So absolutely, but that's beautiful that you do that. I mean, you actually are helping people to be able to, let it in for themselves, because that's where it's happening, and it's going to happen any other way ultimately,
Otherwise, it's information.
Yeah.
And it's one reason why I used to read a lot, but I read a lot less now because I'm not looking for someone to tell me about me.
Mhm.
I may read something that's like, and it opens something up and it's oh my God, yes. But
Mhm.
it's real. I think that when that happens, it's because the author was writing from that very same place, where the words have energy to them and they're not just words and they're not just a story, but they really are that energy imbued, or the words imbued with energy. And then I get to receive that.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. That's exactly what I told somebody who's going to be on this show soon. It's like I told her, I said, I didn't mean to demean what she's doing. Oh, I think it's amazing, her work. It's totally like incredible, incredibly written book she gave me that she's going to talk about. And I said, yeah, pretty much, this is the stuff that's been around forever, like everything else, right? Well, but what I told her, I said, the transmission, the writing is great. And then the transmission of the
Mhm.
energy is what I'm really getting from the book. It,
Mhm.
so it's like, I'm not reading it because I'm like, oh, I don't know this stuff. I need to get in my head, get this
Right,
things
right. It's not
figured
the
out
ideas
here.
that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the transmission and I guess you could say reminders within that, but it's more the transmission of the book is what
Mhm.
really draws me to want to read it more. Otherwise, I stopped reading, for many years. I think like I didn't read much at all, and
Mhm.
only recently did I start doing it again. And I had a lot of judgments about myself about it. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I don't feel compelled. Like I need to know all these different things. Like I don't get. Partly I just knew like I'm just coming from my deeper knowing about things, learning from
Yeah.
life and whatnot. But I was like, what am I stupid? I don't read or anything. Like everybody says you should read and like but I think everybody's different on all these different things. I guess
Mhm.
like yeah, I think that's fascinating what you said about reading less though.
Yeah. Well, I just to mirror what you just said, um, the more I was getting into innovation work, I started reading people who write about innovation. And can I tell you the truth of what happened for me with a lot of it? I fell asleep.
Right.
I mean, I would just, find myself, oh, well, I should, and I'd say the same kind of thing. I should be interested. I should be able to read this. I know I'm not stupid. So what's going on here? And then I realized these were theories,
Yeah.
and I didn't need more theories. I needed that energy to keep moving.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I'm afraid we're going to run out of time without you. And this is terrible. Take it from one podcast host to another. But you told me before we began today that you had taken the Creative Innovator Style quiz,
Oh
and
yeah.
maybe you were going to talk about it later. I don't know, but I
Well,
want.
never going to get to it. We can't talk about it. Yes, I did. I took your Creative Innovator style test, and man, I was so excited. It was so awesome. I just couldn't believe what came through. Like it was really awakening. It was like, oh, it just transplanted me back to how I used the brilliance of that what you were pointing to with that style I have. And I'm like, wow, that is a superpower of mine. And
Mhm.
I just don't, I'm not, I just, it's just one of the things that's sort of like it's there. I've used
Mhm.
it different times in my business and in my life, but when it's brought to the forefront, it's like anything else that's been on the back shelf, so to speak, in a way. It's like, oh wow, yeah, I want to utilize that more, right? That
Yeah.
strength. You see your strength
Mhm.
you have, you want to utilize it. So that was my experience with it. It was very, very,
Ah.
very awesome.
Oh, great, great. That's part of what it's about is if you don't know what you don't know about yourself, or even if you know it somewhere, bringing it to the forefront helps you to capitalize on it. And maybe to not try and do it in the ways that don't really fit for you. I have a really good friend who is an amazing businessman, artist, um, all sorts of things, musician. But growing up, he was put into the business mold very strongly. And so that whole artistic part of himself didn't have any room to shine. And so him as his creator aspect was like just hanging out, withering. And it wasn't until much, much, much later in his life when he started tapping into that and being able to bring that forward. And that for him is his natural way of creating in the world. And I don't mean just like painting or drawing or music or, whatever. I mean how we create our lives.
Mhm.
And it really shifted what he did and what he could do once he stopped trying to fit himself into the mold that actually had come through from his father, from his dad. This was how you're supposed to do life. And how many of us have received those messages of this is how you're supposed to do life?
Exactly. I mean, the thing with this particular quiz, it's like I gotta say, like I somebody recently, it's somebody else that had a quiz that's probably on this show. I hate to say,
Oops.
honestly, I hate to say that because again, I love everyone. I love everything you guys are doing. It's just I just remember saying they said something about a quiz they had. And I'm like, I think it said someone was a little off, to be honest. I'm like, oh, all these quiz. I think I was nice about it, but I was like, all these quizzes, and so, but yeah, it's like all these quizzes. It's like people are getting a little, I think, a little past some of these quizzes. Like they used to be
Mhm.
really, really compelling, but they're still compelling. Maybe this is a client actually, so but they're still really compelling. And so, but what I told you, and I'll tell the audience, is like when I take these quizzes, usually I'm like, this is so cool. I'm still happy and excited, but it's like because it's exciting, right? I am one of these. But it's like it's always like I already knew that. I already knew that. This quiz, it was like I already knew it, but it was below my surface awareness. Like it
Mm.
was like something I was reawoken to that I didn't remember. I didn't remember.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God, that's so true. So I have a feeling, and you told me that this is true of this particular quiz. Like, I think a lot of people are going to find that that's true, that you're going to be awoken to something. And I think that speaks to the work that you do. You're awakening
Mhm.
people that are lying dormant in people through
Mhm.
your overall work. So, I mean, I'm really impressed. I was really blown away by it in that regard. Like, wow, you're really like, however you put this thing together, it's really brilliant.
Thank you. I really appreciate your feedback, and I'm delighted that it was meaningful to you, because that's probably the highest form of praise.
Yeah, it really was great. It's going to be something that's going to stay with me for sure. And I'm going to definitely be dreaming about how that wants to come in more into my life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if people want to take advantage of it so they can play with more of the creative intelligence through their typing part, where can they go to take advantage of that?
Well, my website is the Baca, that's BACA, B as in boy, institute.com. That's the Baca Institute.com. And right there at the very top is a button that you can click to take the quiz. If you take the quiz, you'll get one set of results, and there's another second set of information and results that if you sign up that you'll get. And then you'll also get access to my free 7-day, 7 awareness provoking experiences course, which is a very, it's a simple way of doing very fun things to deepen your own inner connection.
Wow. We're always for that. More fun and connection. Yeah.
Yes, I must have said all that just for you, Daniel.
Yes. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we're coming to the time of the show where I usually go ahead and do some of that tuning in that I do to people or for people. What am I saying? I do it to you. That sounds horrible. Okay, I tune in for you so we can kind of showcase you some more. Are you ready to receive that, Laurie?
I am. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you. So let me go ahead and tune in here for a sec. Who wants to come through? Okay, well, I'm getting gatekeeper to the infinite kind of a thing they're showing me. It's through like the crown chakra, particularly. So it's like there's so, oh wow, this is profound to me. So there is so many of us, right? You have that logic analyzer, the part that thinks about all this stuff. You've got a strong thinker by history, and it's like, so you in the past, especially, I'm sure it's not as true anymore, but you would just like wring yourself over trying to figure something out, is the feeling I get. And whereas you are so connected to infinite intelligence, you just know like the truth and order of things, like that goes here, that goes here, this just drops over down over here and over there. And like, your training, growing up, is like, you got to get it right, you got to figure it out. And it's like that totally short circuited this gift, is what I'm seeing. And so it's just so awesome to see how open you are and how that's so true for you. So it could help people in so many different ways when they have confusion. Well, I don't know how this goes with that. Well, I see it. It's like this, it's like that. And I know you teach people how to do that for themselves, but you have a strong gift to be able to see it for them as well.
I'd say that was about 100% accurate.
Whoa, it might not even be 100%. What, am I slipping there?
No, I said 100%. Oh, I absolutely grew up with that logic as being the way to go. And I was always trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
And it was really that experience back in 1987 that opened the door that you're speaking to.
Nice. The other last thing I'll share for today is just in the throat chakra pops out for me right now. There's just getting this feeling like, wow, just so much energy and information wants to be shared. And I feel like the more, they're showing me with the images they're giving me, it just shows the more the radiance that you step into even more deeply, and the more radiance you're willing then to shine. I think it's more the shining is where the issue is too. Shining the radiance unabashedly and clearly without the programs that might say, again, the usual ones, like it's unsafe. You might, like putting your neck out there. Look out, it might take your head, kind of thing. But I see so much more that wants to be shared and given. So I feel like lots more with books and speaking. Yeah, I definitely get that for you. I mean, it's sort of universal, but for you, it just seems really strong, that energy for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Thank you. That's very useful. And it may even get me back to finishing the book that's there in my computer.
Awesome.
Waiting for me to, to do those final edits.
Awesome. Remember, your infinite intelligence is totally letting it happen, right? So
absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Awesome. So I'm glad to share with you. If people want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com, where you can get a free meditate and make money meditation. It opens up your energies, your chakras, get some of that energy singing, get some answers and whatnot. Tune in and let that money flow. And then there's also an opportunity for an energy scan opportunity there on the homepage as well. So check that out, yoursacredpurpose.com. And Laurie, I'm going to give you the last words. Any last words or any last thoughts for the audience today?
Oh, I always have a last thought. Thank you, Daniel. In this moment, it's about the breath and the importance of the breath, and the way the breath is the intelligence that we get to breathe in and receive. Mm-hmm. Keeping it really simple, but breathe and receive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Breathe and receive. Nice. Such a peaceful energy. I love that. Love that. Wow. Feels like a warm blanket. It really does. Thank you.
I'm actually feeling a lot of heat from the energy, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
In a warm blanket.
It's much more than that. I love that. It's really hot stuff.
It's really hot.
That's awesome, Laurie. Woo. All right, guys. All right, all you hot ones out there. Okay, let's party on together. Check out everything. Get that quiz. I'm telling you, it takes like 3 minutes, I think, at the most. Go to the BacaInstitute.com for the free quiz, Creative Innovator Style, and connect with Laurie further. And Laurie, again, just thank you so much for coming on. It's so much fun. It's such a delight. It's always such a pleasure.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right, everybody. Okay, well, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.